3, 2,
Love it. Love it.
1.
We're live. Love it.
We're live.
Back with another installment of the Glory Mentality podcast. And Bags, we have a special guest. And I think that it's only right that you, sir, introduce this fine gentleman here. And let the world know who this man is, and please take it away.
Man, uh, this is my guy right here, man. Went to high school together. We go way back, like Cadillac on 4 flats. Man, I know this dude since high school, man. He's always been a real, like, deep, energetic, like, thinker type of dude. Like, somebody who really, like, embraces their full mind and uses it. You know what I mean? And uses it very, very well. So that never went unnoticed. And I'm just glad that later in life, here we are, we're able to connect and collab on some real plays.
Hell yeah.
That's my boy Austin
Truly.
right here.
Oh, that's
Hey,
beautiful.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Truly. Thank you. Very, very grateful, Bags. Very grateful. I'm proud of you as well, man. Just continuing to see you grow, get your degrees, and do what you do, man. True inspiration. Very proud.
Definitely.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate you, man. So we appreciate you coming on here, man. I know you've been in the podcast game for a minute, man. You've been really, throwing out a lot of uplifting spiritual stuff. So please, give the fans, give the listeners a little bit of taste of what you do and what you've been creating.
Most definitely, man. So yeah, we're on about year 5.5 now of having my podcast. So I have a podcast called A Positive Mind with Positive Vibes. You can find it on my website, PMPV Podcast. You can find me on Instagram, PMPV Podcast as well. Or you can just search my name, Austin Varvel. You can find me on Facebook, Austin Varvel. It'll have my link to my podcast as well. But the podcast came from, for me, it was quite honestly a dark place. I was coming from a place where I didn't feel like I was able to really grow. I was able to be in a place where I could really accept who I am and step into understanding myself. So, the early episodes were really just about telling people, and in the same voice, telling myself that we are enough. That we are enough for what we go through each and every day. I brought in some psychology. I stepped into more spirituality and astrology as the episodes developed. I've had the privilege of having some really great guests. And, once again, it's about personal development. It's about understanding and stepping further into yourself, who you are, looking that face in the mirror and not feeling any type of negativity, feeling pride, feeling love, feeling appreciation, feeling a sacred connection to the divine in which you are. And, it's just about how to get back to who we truly are outside of what we've been taught, because we're so much greater than just this 9 to 5, 40-hour work week for the rest of our life, keeping up with the Joneses, buying the newest thing. We're so much greater than that. And I want to remind people of that and share that message of love, of knowledge, of uplifting, and just see the world grow, man. Truly just help see the world grow in a better direction.
I think that's beautiful, man. And I think you said a couple things that I want to definitely touch on for sure. For example, you were talking about how we're enough. And I think that you are so correct in that statement. But I feel like the reality is like the propaganda is so strong. The programming is so strong that it tries to pull you out of yourself, to pull you out of that being, to make you seek validation, to make you seek other people's approval outside of yourself instead of going within.
100%.
And so when you say we are enough, that's some super, super real stuff. How did you get, you have where happiness is one of the cruxes, and peace is one of the crux of your podcast. How did you overcome your programming? How did you overcome that negative or the, the shadow self, the dark self, to get to that light, man? What was that process?
100%. Well, the process is a journey, and that journey is forever unfolding. First and foremost, like you're never done, right? And I think that a lot of people kind of they understand and they hear the term shadow work or dealing with the dark self or the dark feminine, the dark masculine, and incorporating or integrating that, and they think it's like a task, right? Like you complete it, you can check mark it, and then you're never dealing with it again. No, this is shit you deal with for the rest of your life, but it's a matter of how you deal with it, how you face it, and how you overcome it. So for me, I've always been someone that went against the grain, even from the music I listened to the way I dressed, to the people I associated with. Like you can ask Bags, when we were in school, like when it was lunchtime, especially around junior or senior year, like nobody saw me at lunch because I was kicking it with teachers, or I was at work when it came senior year. Like I was not doing the typical things. And when I was around people, like it was cool. We were really cool and connected, but it was very, very surface level. Right. And I've never really been that surface level person. So I just, kind of did my own thing. I had a lot of responsibility when I was younger. I'm the oldest of 5, and I spent a lot of my childhood raising my younger siblings and, being kind of that more parental figure of the house. So having that maturity gave me the ability to really understand and separate and really just kind of focus. But ultimately what it did as well is, with a lot of the past and the things that I had and the trauma that was there, it also caused me to have an inability to really express emotion. And, a lot of the things that most men understand and deal with, like understanding the processing of grief, of pain, of sadness, right? Of understanding and kind of feeling and sitting with the feeling of not being enough, but not only sitting with it, being able to express it. And I didn't have that. So, I had all this bottled up for many years. And I was very much in my negative, I guess you could say, energy, and just very a dark person. And for me, it was really a choice. Once again, I found a documentary, and it was called I Am. And it's literally that phrase in itself, I Am. It's by a director named Tom Shadyac. Tom Shadyac was responsible for the Bruce Almighty movies, the Ace Ventura movies, does a lot of comedies. But long story short, he underwent a medical issue or an injury, which created what's known as post-concussion syndrome, which led to a very deep depression. And when he got out of it, he traveled the world asking, what's wrong with the world and what can we do to change it? And when I finished that documentary, something just clicked in me that's like, I've dealt with and I've experienced and I've sat with this negativity for so long. It's become so much that's a part of me. It's now become a weakness. It's now become a crutch. And I was very much feeling like a victim. And, for me, it was literally just like, I'm not going to choose to do that anymore. I've done this my entire life. I know how to do it. And quite honestly, I'm good at it. And it's almost a negative thing to kind of feel, but it's also a positive thing to then understand. So I made the choice to, say, I choose to want to heal. I choose to want to be better. I choose to want to more pursue a path where I do have my life in my hands. I do have the ability to control what is around me, the people around me, the things around me. And I want to get back to just, because when I was younger, I stepped into astrology, but as I got older, I kind of shied away from it. I want to get back to that. I want to continue to pursue the more deeper understandings of this world, the deeper sciences of the world that's here around us. And like over time, bro, it was, once again, cannabis was a very big part of it, and it was a part of plant medicine. And, I quite honestly was a much younger age than I should have. I was 13 years old smoking weed, and I was smoking weed all through high school. Bro will attest, right? But the reality of it is that, that became a catalyst and at times a crutch as well of my ability to process things, understand them, and like suppress the emotion, but then go back and revisit it. Right. So it was really a journey, man. Like there's there's twists and turns, there's loop-de-loops, there's, some pitfalls, there's a lot that's happened, but overall it kind of came from the choice of, I don't want to live this way anymore. And I am going to figure out a way to no longer live this way.
Damn. That's beautiful, man.
Getting deep early as a mother.
Sure.
It's just who I've always been, bro. It's just really who I've always been. Like, I wasn't in sports. I never played sports like that. Like I wasn't in football or basketball. People see my size and they're like, bro, it's like a waste of size and space. But like I was smoking weed playing Halo. I don't know what to say. Like it just what it was.
Hey, you need athleticism for that kind of shit. All right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Halo, goddammit.
No, I think video games are like they're a big key. I mean, there are so many lessons you can get from video games, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
they are slept on.
That and that
100%.
are transferable that you could use in your whole life. You know what I'm saying? Ridiculous.
100%.
But
110%.
I think you hit some very valuable points in there. A lot of that was a lot of you telling yourself, you know, you tapping into your true self, motivating your own self to do what you need to do for yourself. Like that's the power of the mind, the power of manifestation, the power of taking your destiny and making it happen. You know what I mean? Like you said, I choose to not want to live this way. I'm going to change it. And guess exactly what the fuck you did. And that's exactly what you're going to continue to do. You done rewired your whole process, bro. Now you want some real, I'm uplifting. It's a constant evolution of me evolving. And it's amazing, bro.
100%. And I appreciate that, bro. Truly, I do. And you know, it's once again though, as above, so below. And I'm going to use that term a couple of times, but the term in and of itself basically means, you know, as the energy moves up, the energy will also come down. So that's just in life. We're going to have highs and lows and so on and so forth. So it's there's the evolution and growth, but there's also the times where you do got to go back down a couple levels to recover and unearth some of that trauma, right? And some of that pain. And, you know, a big catalyst for this podcast really came from, in this lifestyle now, really came from me pursuing psychology, right? Just as you did. When I ended up going, so I initially was going to get my bachelor's in hospitality management because it made sense living in Las Vegas, but I finished my associates and I wanted to feel more complete. But more importantly, I wanted to feel like I was adding more value than just checking someone in with someone who's more than likely not their spouse. Right. And then when their spouse calls, answering the phone and be like, they're not here, when I just know I checked them in. So it's like, you know, I had to have that real truth with myself. It's like, who does Austin really want to be? What does Austin want to be known for? Right. And what legacy do I want to leave behind? So I wanted to understand psychology. I wanted to understand why I went through what I went through, why I thought the way I did, why my mom did, my ex-stepdad, the family that I experienced and lived with, why it was the way that it was. And through that, it became really almost like a portal where I was able to really kind of use that as a launch pad to step into understanding the way the mind really works, right? Once again, to Bag's point, like the mind is a limitless, incredible, like just vast everything. Like it's literally everything. Like it's the ability for us to have this conversation, perceive what's in front of us, and to use what's here, all the way from breathing to using this, creating this episode. That's all from the mind, right? Like it's incredible. It's incredible.
Right. And you know what's so interesting when we talk about like the fact that all is mental, all is mind, right? Like literally every aspect of your reality comes from your thoughts, your words, your actions. But some people are conscious of it and some people are not. They're asleep.
Yes.
They're kind of just moving through life, not really like it's just, oh, how'd that get there? There's no real there's no real depth there. But I think it's understandable because of the illusion of Maya. The illusion of Maya, the job of Maya is to try to get you stuck in your ego, to distract you so much so that you do not have time to really sit back and think, okay, what is the truth? What is the fundamental aspect, the fundamental reality of who I am, of what I am? What am I? What am I really CVT? Or am I more than CVT? Is that just my earthly name? Am I more than a body? You know what I mean? People, it's tough when the outside world is trying to tell you, you got to go pursue this. You got to do this. You got to try to get this money. You got to try to get this job. You got to try to work and get this material thing. It's very hard on the ego to just say, you know what, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to give up these things periodically for a moment of time and really just think and process and get to know who I am.
110%. 110%.
Man. Life is crazy, man.
I just want to go back
Like,
and note that all this discussion about the power of the mind. Have you seen the logo?
of course,
Thank you.
of course. That's
Parliament's
exactly
slogan.
That
it.
came from our mind.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, and you know,
no, what were you gonna say, man?
oh, I was gonna say, you know, it just, and I think that you touched on a really great point as well. Once again, like, because we are able to perceive, we know that we then exist. It's Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am, right? And like understanding like that was so pivotal for the Renaissance and the philosophical movement, because it really allowed an individual to understand and give power to, right, the individual by saying, I think, and because I think I exist, I am here. So because I think and I'm here, everything that I think is around here because of what I think. So if I change what I think, regardless of if I'm in control of it or not, it's going to change what's around me. And, you know, paired with psychology nowadays, earlier in the DSM-4 and the DSM, you know, the DSM-4 and the DSM-3 models, a lot of diagnoses were put more in a box, right? Like if you were autistic, it was just you're in a box of autism. If you had this, if you were schizophrenic, you had a box of schizophrenia, right? And there were certain things that can mix and match, but overall there was a lot of challenge. And I think that, you know, the greatest thing of psychology and consciousness and philosophy, wherever we are right now, once again, those are the sciences of the mind, the sciences of society, of people. As we continue to dive deep into that and integrate spirituality and the many practices that are in it, we're going to uncover more. We're going to understand more about the mind, the way our body works, the way that we're connected to it, how we can reprogram the cells that are in here, the growth that's here, and how we can literally change the world and the ideas and the fabric of reality around us just by thinking it.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's real shit, man.
The
That's
damn
real shit.
power of the mind, man. It's crazy.
And you know what's so interesting? The power of the mind is absolutely crazy, Bags. It's really crazy to think about. But it's so, when I think about everything that you're saying, Austin, it really leads to me pondering, okay, what's next for humanity? What's next for consciousness? What's the next level of evolution? You know, where are we? What's the next step? Because you see artificial intelligence, it's getting crazy.
AI
It's
is
getting real
wild.
crazy, right? And so, you know, I think about like, are we going to end up merging with this AI? Are we going to turn into spirit beings where the body just becomes smaller and smaller and more insignificant? Are we going to end up destroying ourselves because of our quote unquote advancements and our improvements in our intelligence? Will that be the very thing that imprisons and enslaves us and kills us as a species?
The choice is ours.
Oh wow.
It's that simple, bro. It is literally that simple, of a choice of going left or going right.
Wow.
It's literally that fucking simple, bro. And it really is in life. Like when we manifest and want to choose and to create the things we want, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you want to say, however you want to describe it, or nothing, just the energy that's here, there's guides and guidances that come and are provided to us. It's up to us to heed those warnings. We feel those instincts in our gut that's like, I don't know if I should do this. If we go through with it, more than likely some bad shit's going to happen, right? But we're like, it's up to us to make that choice. So once again, it's up to us to decide if we allow AI to work for us and become the new human and become the new version of us, or if we integrate with AI and explore the capabilities of further unlocking who we are as potential and as a human being with the help of AI. Because I think that those are two very big different things, right? It's like, if we want to be lazy and not work our bodies and not work our mind and not read and not learn and not look at the past as a way to understand what our future could become, we are going to allow AI to say, you know what, you do the thinking for me. You research this for me. You write this paper for me. And that's what we're seeing, right? Like we're seeing the Film Actors Guild protest. We are seeing all of these writers go on strike because of AI, because we would rather choose something done for us easily, have that instant gratification, rather than take the time, invest, and have that delayed gratification of what's really worth it, right? Like Big Crit said it best, bro. That road less traveled, it really is a road less traveled, right? Like it's for a reason, bro. Like it comes with work, pain, dedication, but most importantly, it comes with accountability. It comes with being accountable for who you are. And that's the choice we have to make. Are we going to be accountable for ourselves as human beings? Or are we going to allow AI to tell us and dictate what is right and wrong based on what we program it to say?
I got a lot to say to that, but I'll let Bags. If you got something to say, Bags, I'll let you take away.
Bro, part of the issue is that there's too many groups of us. Oh, shit.
Let the universe speak. You know what's crazy, bro? You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You go.
You have to continue, Bags. That's what that's telling you. You have to continue.
God damn. It's a thunderstorm and it's like 100 degrees out there. What is going on? Is that not global warming?
You're about to spit.
Bro, you're 100%. But he's about to spit hot fire.
We're about to get into that?
You need to do that.
He opened the portal. You opened the portal, bro. It's time. We walk. Let's go.
You gotta let that go, bro.
Is that there is too many different groups of us. This group thinks that they're not us. This group thinks that they're not us. There's too many complexities with how the human operates, the mind, personalities, egos, control, greed. And it's like a systemic programming of the world to just want it now. I want it now. You move to America, you get the American dream now. It's going to happen. And so we're promoting this culture of, no, I want it now. I want it convenient. I want it easy. And so people no longer have to dive that deep into themselves. They no longer have to work as hard as they would have had to work. This shit getting too easy. They're trying to make too many easy ways for people to try to do shit. But anyway, go ahead.
I love so much that the thunder hits you, because the thunder hits you, but I put this on life itself. As I was talking, lightning was over here. So lightning was over here. You had the thunder. Oh,
there are no such things as coincidences.
No such thing.
No, you guys are both spitting real stuff. I think Austin, Austin, from what I heard you say, what really stuck in my mind is when you talked about accountability, right?
Yeah.
And then when Bags is talking about we want it easier.
Yes.
There's too many people who just want it easier. And I look at society now, like I'm damn near 30 years old, and I look at society and I think that lack of accountability is not good, because everyone's constantly trying to look at everyone else and point the finger at everyone else instead of looking at themselves and taking responsibility and holding themselves accountable for their actions, their realities, and what's going on in the world. And I think it's because people want it easier. It's so much easier to just point to someone else and say, "Oh, you're the leader. You tell us what's going on. You process life for us. You think for us. You tell us what we should do next," instead of really doing that work and traveling that road that's less traveled, and really trying to get the rewards that come with that. You know, I was watching a video recently, and it talked about kind of like the hero's journey, where when you say, "Okay, I'm going to go in that big dark forest, and I'm going to go by myself, and I'm going to go on this journey." Yes, it's dark. Yes, there's a lot going on there, but in that darkness, you're going to find rewards. You're going to find lessons. You're going to find things that you would not have found had you not been courageous enough to take that travel, to take that journey.
You're going to find yourself.
Real shit.
You're going to find yourself. And two things I want to bring up. First and foremost, most recent, there's the lightning. I love it. Yes, Lord. I love it. I love it, bro.
You got to go.
So what you were talking about in most reference to, that road less traveled, I remember I had my boy come through, and it was D West, bro. Came to the crib 3 days straight. We was just sitting up talking. He was going through some stuff in life, and I stayed up 3 days with him. And I don't remember much of our conversation, but I will never forget what I said. in this phrase, and it was, the path of the righteous man is the most lonesome, but it is the most rewarding. And it truly is, bro. Like I've had experiences where, like, for example, I've had life give me these examples. I'm going to take someone on a hike and we want to go to the top of the mountain. We say we're about to do it and we stop halfway, not because I don't want to, but because they want to. Right. And I've had this experience about 4 or 5 different times. And the first time I climbed to the top of Red Rock, Calico Basin, was by myself. And it was only by myself. You feel me? Exactly, bro. Heavy is the head that holds the crown. And going back to accountability, that's the second thing. That is going now full circle to our conversation when talking about going through that shadow period and that dark period, right? And going through the shadow work and the dark path of the self, of understanding and taking that accountability for what you've done. Not only taking accountability for what you've done, but going back and seeing when life traumatized you to the point that you made that decision to say that it's okay to do so. Right. So like, when did I as a child experience this trauma that then developed into this behavior? When did I not feel accepted or loved or appreciated or welcomed to the point that I now do X, Y, and Z? That is the accountability. That is the real accountability. That's the real shadow work. And it never stops, because even as much as work as I've done now, every time, you know, more and more opportunities come up, deeper and deeper things come up. So once again, like, it's a journey, bro. Like, this isn't something that you're just going to one day wake up and say, I'm healed. I don't truly, like, of course there's those experiences, but once again, life continues to show you what you don't want so you can further focus on what you do want, right? That's a practice of Abraham Hicks, the law of attraction. So understanding that, right, we're able to then make that connection. But once again, it all comes from, once again, that foundation of doing the work, having that accountability and doing that shadow work within yourself and saying, okay, there is some shit that I do that is wrong to other people, to myself, to the world. I do have some toxic, destructive behaviors. Where is that coming from? Where in my childhood or in my life did I experience being hurt so bad to where I think that even if subconsciously it's okay to hurt other people or other things, or even hurt myself, right? That's where that real accountability comes in. It's fucking sucks, bro. You know, there's some really deep stuff that comes up, and it's crazy because I was reading a book called It Didn't Start With You. And I don't remember the author, but this book, bro, it was fascinating. Bags, you'll love this. It talked about how trauma can be encoded in our fucking DNA, how trauma can be encoded in our genes, to the point that as then they had case studies, they had case studies that they followed for decades at a time. And it talked about how there would be a person who experienced anxiety. They would have diagnosed full-on anxiety, and they would take medication, but nothing in their trauma or nothing in their childhood or in their therapy sessions was able to really pinpoint and determine where it came from. Come to find out, their mother or their grandmother experienced something so traumatic, either while they were in the womb or in their life at some point, to where that energy transmitted through the genes into another person to then have a later generational expression. Like that, like, once again, you want to talk about the power of the mind, bro. Like, and it's so fascinating because there's also now a theory where it talks about we have two minds, the one in our head and the one in our heart. There's now science that is actually proving that the heart has an actual consciousness of itself, and that there is a heart brain connection for us to then build and create. And when you have a healthy one, that's when you experience that enlightenment. That's when you experience that full chakra connection, and you experience that peace and that bliss, however you want to call it. That's when it's there, right? Is when that connection is in full unison. That's what people call alignment. That's what they call alignment with your higher self, that connection to God. That's it, right? So it's a matter of now, how do we get there? We got to do the work.
Yeah. That's real, man. That's real. Beautifully stated. And I think when you talk about how do we get there, man, there's so much that could be said about that. I think in terms of, like, I really, like you were saying about going back to the childhood, I think that's so key, man. That's so key because a lot of the things that happen to us in our childhood, obviously they play a part in our actions today. And I was just talking to Bags about this a couple of days ago. I was like, yo, it all starts from my childhood, man. And we didn't get into it then. But as I've gotten older, you know, when I was like 15, 18, 21, like I just was so young, I did not understand why things happened. I was confused. I was perplexed when people would say certain things, do certain things. I didn't understand why I did certain things, right? But as I get older and I get, you know, I'm damn near 30 now, I get older and I start to see, okay, it really does stem from the childhood. Things that you experience that like you said are stuck in the shadow self, stuck in the dark self, that if you don't shed light on, you can't really get over. And so when we talk about how do we get aligned, how do we make that happen, man? I think it starts from really slowing down, stopping, and doing that shadow work, going back to our childhood, going back from the beginning.
The difficulty is that we all know that trauma it runs deep. And when you have a rough childhood and then you have a rough teenage years and then a rough young adult stage and whatnot, all of that is just getting built and built and built and built. So you're constantly going through this dark door, right? And then you get to the other side, things get a little bit better. And then all of a sudden something else hits. And then you're going through another dark door. And then, okay, you're thankful that, okay, you're finally through that. And then you go through another one. And then it's like somebody who's gone through that for like 20 plus years, them being able to backtrack and do that shadow work and want to go back through those doors. Highly
you got me fucked up. That's what most people say. Like, and honestly, I have days where I say it too. Like the universe is saying, like, "Hey, Austin, you got to face this," and I'm like, "Not today. We're gonna rain check that. Literally, we're gonna rain check that.
I'm going back to that dark place today."
Right. And I think that, you know, then that brings us into like the sort of conflicts that we all face on a day-to-day basis, not only with ourselves, but with other people. You know, you're constantly dealing with people. Like a recent thought I've had is like, you know, I literally interact with a lot of people each day, and we all have our shadow self, our dark self, and our light self, our higher self. And upon repeated exposure to people on a long enough time scale, their dark side, their shadow self will be directed to you, towards you in some way, shape, or form. And so when I was younger and that shit would happen, I would be perplexed, like, what's going on? What's happening? Why? You know what I'm saying? What's up? But now that I'm older, I see it's just part of the game. You do not incarnate into this realm unless you have some things you got to work on. If you're still alive, you got some things you got to work on. If you're alive and you get to a point in your consciousness where it's so elevated, you're essentially you've embodied that Christ consciousness, you've embodied that God consciousness. If you get to that point, you're gonna die. It's over for you.
I know y'all saw that flash, right?
Right when you drop the B word.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to bleep that.
Yeah. Life is very just insightful, as my brother says, and I'm very fortunate to be here. I'm very fortunate to experience this. Now, I got a question for you guys. We're all so-called black men in America, right? And obviously, there's a history and there's a reality of that aspect of life. Since we're talking about mind and mindset, mentality, etc., how do we, as so-called black men, go from, you know, getting over that trauma to elevating our consciousness, elevating our mindsets to reach that higher light self?
You know, once again, I feel like, all right, so there's an understanding.
We're getting
that I've
deep,
come
I know.
to in life.
We're getting deep, but we got to do this.
We about to have some thunder and lightning
we
for real. So we about to take it there. And
let's do it.
you know, for the listeners that are here who do wish to challenge, I strongly encourage you to continue to do the research and knowledge. And as you do the knowledge, you will understand and come to the same conclusion in which I have. And understanding that I truly do believe that the original race and the original people is the African and is the Black person of America, right? That's the lineage, that is the genes, that is the genealogy. With that being said, there is an innate strength that we have in an ability to cope and to overcome that is more unlocked than I would say other people's. Not to say that it's not unlocked for them. We have experienced and undergone so much to the point that we are naturally and physically, mentally gifted and strengthened at birth. We are a different breed because we have experienced that, because we are the oldest. We are the original. We've gone through all of that. So because of that, there has to come an acceptance of that. And, you know, kind of tying in what you said before we transition to us specifically, it all starts with you are enough. Like and it doesn't matter, Black, white, whoever you are specifically, to us Black men, you are enough with what you do every day, with what you feel, with what you experience, with what you contribute, with what you're able to give. You are enough. And as you understand and accept that you are enough, you are then able to move with a strength that allows you to go back to those doors and to go back to that earlier trauma and go back to those other things. But the first and foremost, you have to be able to grab your armor and sword before you go back and slay those demons, right? And go back and fight that negativity. You have to start with that knowledge of self, and that knowledge of self will forever be your armor of shield. And having that is simply, once again, you are enough. I am enough. From the moment I wake up, and because, to your point, once again, CVT, that because we wake up, we not only have something to experience and to heal, but we have something to share and to do and to contribute to the greater good and the greater world. And because of that, we have the opportunity to rise and overcome every day, and then share how we have risen and overcame these then obstacles. So it comes with, once again, I am enough, but then it also goes into then educating and sharing the community. Right. And that's where we lose that, is right where we build up and say, I am enough. And we build and we amass and we break through the matrix and we understand and we develop, but we don't go back and do that shadow work. So we don't go back and then teach others how to do it. We do in a way, but we do it in the only way we understand, which is through poetry, which is through art, which is then called rap. But really, it's just telling stories and understanding of how we went through and experienced and navigated that trauma. So, you know, bottom line, once again, you are enough. It starts with you are enough. And from then it goes into, because I'm enough and I know I'm enough and there is enough in the world. There is a vast, unlimited potential of anything that we need to build. I don't need to worry of any type of scarcity or any lack. So I'm going to then go teach the community and the masses and share what I've learned so everybody can get on this vibe. Everybody can experience this enoughness, the fact that we are enough. And it comes with a lot of things, specifically in our community, bro. Like, you got to be able to feel, you got to be able to use your emotions. And we're taught more than others to not, right? Because of the obstacles we have and the things we face, specifically in this country. But at the same time, how are diamonds made? Through pressure.
Exactly.
Right. And I don't know about you, but we age the best, shine the brightest, and by far gleam the greatest. So that just goes to show, you feel me? Like, you know, with the good genes, looking good and healthy. That's just it. And because of that, that is just a reflection of who we are inside, then reflecting on the out. It's just who we are, bro. It's how we're built. It's how we're made. It's how we've always been. And it's how we're always going to be.
That's deep, man. Hey, Bags, you're muted, man. You're muted.
Good catch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you saying,
That was deep, man.
we're
Yes.
diamonds. We're diamonds.
Right.
And, our community is constantly under attack, and they're trying to strip away our ability to shine, strip away our ability to realize our value, to realize our strength, our history. Like they're in a constant battle to just try to keep all of our beauty and all of our accomplishments down. You know what I mean? They don't teach it in school.
You know what's
Right.
interesting? As soon as you said that, bro, I kind of got this thought of like, because we're taught that and because we're shown that, we're so busy trying to prove them wrong rather than taking that energy and sharing it amongst each other to then prove that them wrong as a race, right? Because we're proving them wrong as individually. We're like, I got these millions, I got this, I'm sitting in the same class as you, I'm spending the same money, I'm spending more money, I make more money, I am by all senses of the word better than you, but you're alone, right? Where are your people behind you? They have an entire empire they've built. You have yourself. So I think that it goes back to, once again, building that, understanding that, and then sharing it, right? And that's where it comes back to, is like, once again, individually, we're going to win each time. But when we come together and win, the entire game is changed. It is then our game because it's who we are. We're bred and born to win.
I like that. You got a winner's mentality, eh?
There's no other option, bro. There is no plan B. It's just, there's only this.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. And if you don't win today, you'll win tomorrow. If you don't win the
1%.
next day, you'll win next week. But
That's
you
it.
got to always have that mentality. We're going to win. Never quit. Never give up until the fucking clock shuts down to zero. That's
And
what I learned
beyond.
from basketball, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played. I don't know. I don't think you. I didn't hear you say that you played basketball.
No. Like, I'll play recreationally, but I never played like on a team or anything. No.
Oh, that's okay. But I think that it's such a beautiful game, man. And I think that there's so many lessons,
Agreed.
man. And I think
Agreed.
if people studied that, like, they could really, you know what I mean, take themselves to a whole level, another, level mentally. But I think, to address the question myself, right? When I look at the community, man, I look at our people. I think a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the music is not as high of a vibration as it should be, and I think that it encourages you operating from your ego, and I think that it encourages you to be materialistic and to feel that there's always a competition, that competitive mindset instead of a collaborative mindset. And I think that when you constantly, what is manifestation? What is a big part of it is just repetition. You know what I mean? Repeating to yourself over and over and over again that X, Y, or Z, and therefore at some point you'll start to believe it. Like, you remember the whole idea of George Bush when he said, there's weapons of mass destruction over there and we got it. And he just kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until a bunch of people just believed it. And that's just reality. So we got to go over there and we got to bomb them. When the truth is, there was never any weapons of mass destruction over there. You see what I'm saying? So my point is, when we are constantly repeating in our music that we're killing each other, we're taking each other's chicks, we're robbing each other, we're looking for I know where he lives at, I grew up with him, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, and this is just on repeat. Whoa, that's not good. That is not good. Because,
right,
man, oh man. So that's just one element of it, man. I think there's so many different ways that you can attack this to try to ideally get our people in a different, because we were talking about it. It's all in the mind. So how can we affect our mindsets to get us into a different, to where I feel like I don't want to say in general we're operating from a lower vibrational frequency, but it appears like that. And it's like, what the
individualistic.
Right.
And I think a lot of our, at least like the more like Americanized people, right? Like, we're more individuals. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking of individual. I gotta win. me, not my community. We don't think community first. We don't think group
Right.
first. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so I feel like that's where a lot of the divide kind of stems from as well.
It's a lot of I, me,
Yes, indeed.
me versus him. You know what I mean? Whereas, really, if you want to get philosophical, man, I doesn't exist. The word I is just an illusion, man. This material world is just an illusion of the mind, man. And it's like, I don't know what your thoughts, Austin, in terms of like what we're actually in. What is this that we're actually in? Is this a dream state? Are we in a computer simulation? Or is this just a figment of our collective imaginations? Did we all just collectively decide to come down here to have a quote unquote human experience, to split from one to become the many? And that's why there's so much dichotomy and pain and conflict and BS and dark versus light and this versus that.
Yes. It's literally that simple. Like it's fascinating, right? Because once again, going back to the term as above, so below, it's everything and nothing happening all at once. Like we have this light energy that's around us, but we also have dark matter and dark energy that's around us that our eyes and lights and certain color spectrums and frequencies can't recognize. It's all around us. So in understanding that there's a duality to everything, and it's a matter of the split in it of itself, because you are right. We are one collective consciousness, but we are consciousness experiencing itself over and over and over again in different forms. And that's exactly it, right? It's like, is this a computer simulation technically, because as one consciousness we created it? Is this something we collectively agreed on? Yes, because this is what we're all collectively living in. Is this something that's in a dream state? 110%, because when we dream, we're able to then go to either a homeostasis state where we kind of like just chill, or I'm sorry, a stasis state where we're able to just chill, or we end up going into other frequencies, vibrations, and other understandings, which are then dreams. But it's a collective of everything, bro. And it's, once again, none of that at the same time, because realistically, as we go macro in the universe, we are one small pebble amongst the very vast universe that's here. So we are one grain of sand, but we are one grain of sand in the vast ocean. And we are necessary to the ocean as any other grain of sand is, because we are that grain of sand that is then a part of that ocean. Like you literally will go in a fucking circle, like, right? So, because that's what it is. It's literally this life. Literally, like everything around us, it's cyclical in nature. It returns. It goes, it rises, it goes below, it returns.
Right.
That's exactly it. It's everything.
Oh, wow. God damn, man. Yeah, we're getting deep here. Bags, what are your thoughts? What were you gonna say, Austin?
No, I was gonna say that's it, bro. You're completely right. Yeah, bro. There's no other. That's it.
It is what it is.
That's that shit.
Is what it is.
Yeah, when he started talking about that shit, I thought, you know what? When he was talking about how like our eyes and our senses can only see certain levels of energy and whatnot, automatically I was looking to the corner of my kitchen and I was like, oh shit, like it could be a whole, like maybe there's a species I can't even fucking see. They got a secret portal door right there where if they just scan their eyes or whatever the case, they fucking walk through there and then they're in a whole nother dimension. Like the shit is wild. Who knows what the hell is really out there in the world right now? I don't know what the fuck is in space. I don't know what's in this galaxy, fucking galaxy L2, galaxy L15, right up square, wherever the fuck. This shit is crazy.
It's definitely crazy as shit.
Crazy. And I only wish that like life and like this level of consciousness and awareness and experience existed for like almost ever, because I want to explore that shit. I want to be alive when they figure it the fuck out that there's portal doors and people we can't even fucking see and societies we don't even really know about that can exist right behind us or right in the same space that we're in, and they can like display this shit. It can get exposed on like some new app, TikTok 37,000.0 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy.
Exactly.
And it's so crazy you bring that up, bro, because you know there's going back to, once again, as we were talking about the duality of AI, right? AI would really do great to help us when we enter a meditative or dream state that would go back to, right, going into past life regression or going into Akashic records or going into these prior lives to then connect to AI to have them dream or write up or to illustrate what it is we see so that we can fully recollect and then share it. Or would we then allow to just ourselves be in that dream state of whatever we want IA to create for us and lose that connection? Because once again, bro, like we can do that. You can go, like, you technically as consciousness, we do being able to go through past life regression and these accounts and people of having experiences of, you know, experiencing themselves as other people in other timelines and other parts of history. Though, like, you will be able to do that at a later time, but it's a matter of understanding and being at peace with here now. And you know, I was reading a book. I can't remember what it was, but there was a part of it where it talked about the true the true understanding of human life comes when we plant seeds for trees we know we will not sit under its shade. Like when we make the investment, the ultimate sacrifice to devote our life to a new understanding, a new thing that could benefit the world, only then do we truly understand what it is to be a human being, to be so devoted to humanity to the point that we are able to dedicate our lives to an equation, to a technology, to a belief, to, you know, a way to understand and diagnose someone who is experiencing a specific type of psychoses that no one's seen before. Like, people dedicated their entire existence to that. And because of that, we have the knowledge we do now. That then makes them eternal, right? And that makes them part of that infinite. And even as they're gone, they are experiencing that through the consciousness of us learning those things. So once again, if you want to experience forever, share what you know, share what you have learned, share what you have accumulated, share your wealth, whatever that may be, physical, material, mental, spiritual, whatever wealth you have, share it now. And understanding that comes then what we're experiencing now with a lot of people is boundaries. And that comes the most important thing, right? Is like, as you vibrate and raise in your vibration, other people may not be on that, or they may see that as a raft or an ability for them to kind of hitch a ride on your spiritual journey or your journey that you have. And you have to understand what type of energy can affect you, what energy can drain you, what energy can or cannot be around. Once again, CVT, as you were talking about at the very beginning of this episode, you were talking about how you went around all these different people and you just felt all this different type of energy. And I'm sure some of it drained you. Some days you wanted to come home and you were like, man, I don't want to do shit. I just want to fucking go to bed. There's around a lot of people, or you're around people that were like, man, I feel charged. I feel energized. Like I could stay up all night talking. I could be up around this person. Those are the indicators and the signs of who and what you're vibrating around, who you should be in vibration alignment with, who you should strengthen connections or prune connections off with. But once again, coming back to accountability, do we want to, no matter who that person is, end that relationship, that bond, that connection? And people do, but they don't. Then comes toxicity and sneaky links and everything else under the sun. But it's all on this spectrum, bro. And that's, once again, like, life is truly just on a fucking spectrum of black and white, as above, so below. There's light and there's dark. People will be a really great person, but have certain parts of their shadow self that isn't healed that they, you know, tend to indulge in. It's human nature. What matters is being able to recognize it. And once again, knowing that you're enough, number one. And number two, then saying, because I believe and know I'm enough, I want to change this. And then pursuing a way to change it. And there isn't any real textbook way. You know, sometimes behavioral therapy doesn't work for everyone. Sometimes, you know, other therapy modalities, sometimes work. Sometimes homeopathic remedies don't work. You have to see what works best for you. And that comes in, once again, the work, the research, being able to do the shadow work and be vulnerable, go through those doors and see what at the essence of who you really are, who that is. Who is this consciousness that I have become? What have I embodied? And what you'll find when you get there is your embodiment of the one, of every single person around you, every single person you've met, every single person that's come before you, every person that'll come after you. You are them and they are you. And that, it's the most simplest thing, but it's also the hardest thing to grasp and the hardest thing to understand. But most importantly, it's the hardest thing to accept.
That is real. That is real. And you know what, man, you were spitting right there. I like that stream of consciousness, my guy. Wow,
grateful.
especially when you said that the truth is that you are the one. That's some deep. Now we're getting into the matrix. Now we got to get into the matrix, because listen, the matrix, it's letting you know. It lets you know it was the truth. It lets you know, listen, you are the one. Whoever you are, you, Bags, you, Austin, me, everybody, you are the one. But you cannot be told that you're the one. You have to know it. You can't just be told that you're the one and that your consciousness is eternal. You'll live forever. You're enough. You have to know it. And once you know it, once you understand that you are the one, then I think, in my honest opinion, when you start moving like it and thinking like you're the one and speaking like you're the one, that's when there's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of pressure. The agents, the bots, the sleepers, they're going to, oh, who the fuck is this guy thinking he's so confident?
Yep.
Who the fuck is this guy thinking he's so happy? Why is he so happy? Why does he think he can speak? Who is he? Where'd he get that from? You're going to face, and that's just on a lower level. When you get to that higher level, when your status goes up, your money goes up, people know who you are, and you start, and so there's a lot of eyes on you, and you start moving and speaking like you're the one. Oh yeah. Oh, they're coming. They're coming. And you got to be ready to deal with that.
You know, what's interesting is when you were talking about verbalizing that I'm the one, I'm the one. What popped in my head was actually like boxers, you know, Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta Davis. I feel like,
oh yeah,
in that sport in general, like you have to have that level of confidence. You have to tap into your best, highest self, or you're about to get in that ring, get your ass knocked the fuck out. As simple as that. So I feel like those two, you know, with all the successes that they've had so far, and just kind of how they carry themselves, how they do the press conferences, how they do the flashy, like I'm this, I'm that. Like you got to speak and you got to like manifest that so you can operate just like that.
Right.
Like you said, so they can move like that. So they can get in the ring thinking I'm number one. I'm not losing this fight. It's over with. I got it. Boom, boom. And then so that's exactly what they're doing. Now that's the kind of success that they have.
You're 100% right. And you got to understand, right? Sports is so beautiful because there's so many lessons, right? When we're talking about fighting and boxing, like you could die in there.
Facts.
You could die in there. Like you could, if you're not alert, if you're not sharp, if you feel like if you don't have control over your mind, over your thoughts, and you tell yourself, yo, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to destroy this guy, I'm going to eat this dude. This dude is not fucking. If you don't have that ability to control your mind, to be able to do the press conferences, to be able to put yourself out there, that courageousness, the balls, if you don't have that, can you imagine? You talk about Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta Tank Davis. Can you imagine the pressure that they're dealing with? The money, all the people with their hands out, all the people trying to take their spot, to beat them up, to fuck them up in there. All the people, all of the opportunities that could go wrong, all the things that could go wrong, and yet they still show up and perform.
They rise to the occasion.
They show up, they rise to the occasion, and they put it on the line every single time. And so in my mind, it's like, you know what? When you're a performer, when you're someone who's like, you know what, I'm going to show up, I'm going to swing, I'm going to show up, I'm going to shoot. You know what's so we're talking about sports. Like in sports, you cannot win unless you go for it. You cannot win. When you're boxing, you can't just dodge. You got to try to punch. You got to try to knock people out. In basketball, you got to shoot or you're not going to win. Someone's got to shoot the ball. In football, someone's got to pass the ball. Someone's got to run the ball. And so my point is, I say this, it's the same thing in life. We got to go for it. This is why we have Glory Mentality Podcast. Let's bring it a full circle, man, because we want to be those types of individuals that go for it and that who have the balls to put ourselves out there, regardless of the risks, to get that bacon, to get what we want, to get the achievements, to help people, to bring enlightenment, to bring awareness to people. That the mentality that you have to have, we're talking about Floyd, and it's not just Floyd Mayweather. It's not just Devontae Tate. It's fucking Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, any of the great conquerors, Alexander the Great, any of these great, Shaka Khan, any of these fucking, not Shaka Khan, Shaka Zulu. My apologies. My point is, any of the great individuals, we're going to bleep that out. Anyway, any of the great individuals in history, you know, when you're in that flow state, sometimes you just got to go with what flows out.
Hey, you follow that flow. You follow that flow.
Keep the flow.
So my point is, guys, I just feel like I love studying the greats because it helps me to hone my mentality, helps me to hone my mindset, and it helps me to ultimately lock in, go within, and focus on being in that oneness, being my true authentic self, being like going and asking myself, talking to myself, like, yo, what do I want? What do I think? Where do I think I should go? What do I want to do? Where do I, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, guys. I had to get that out, man.
No, and I think that's beautiful. And once again, I think that this is, you know, a great idea and a beautiful creation for you guys to be able to have. And I'm once, you know, first and foremost, very grateful to be here and on this show and to be here and to share this with you guys, and to be able to share this with the world. You know, I think that the glory mindset is a beautiful mindset to have, is a beautiful focus to have. I think that over time, and it's a very slippery slope, right? It's a very, very thin wire because we can allow ourselves to be consumed by it. And I think of, you know, the greats, right? And how they are. And then I also think of how their behaviors are sometimes how they're not, right? And like sometimes earlier in their career, they can have that same bulldog mentality in the ring in all of life. And I think that, you know, once you're really able to fully master the understanding of glory, fully master and understand the power of who you are in really becoming a master of really your craft, you're able to have a switch. You're able to have a switch of, yes, I'm going to destroy this person. I'm going to go back to being a civilian. That's kind of what I equate it to, right? Like going back to being a civilian in the regular world, going back to being a professional in my craft. It's really being able to have that switch. And in that, once again, comes that accountability, right? They always, you know, some great people in life, people who are conquerors, people who are great sports players, people who are just great people in general, right? What gave them that ability? They went back and did some form of shadow work, right? They had some darkness that they had within them to go back, but more importantly, they kept themselves accountable. They kept themselves accountable to the results that they wanted, to the work they wanted to put into the things they wanted to achieve. And come hell or high water, they're going to have it. That's plan A. There is no B. There is no plan Z. Plankton does not exist in this moment. Like it's only a plan A, right? So with that being said, that's the choice. Once again, going back to the choice that we have every single day. What choice do we want? Do we want to continue to be in this cycle and question why our life is the way it is? Like, you know, once again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So are we going to continue to be in that cycle, or do we want to choose to be great? Do we want to choose glory? Do we want to choose to be first because there is nothing other than? And in understanding that, we then realize that there is no first, there is no anything else, because we're all first, we're all here, we can all win when we choose to, when we decide to. right? Like that's exactly it, bro. It's like
They gonna eat.
everybody does get a trophy, but you have to earn the trophy that you get. Everybody has a crown. You have to earn the crown in which you have, right? We all have the ability to create the life that we desire, the things that we want, be able to build and achieve this glorious life that, more importantly, not that what we want, what we fucking deserve, right? We deserve to have this life. We deserve to live gloriously. We deserve to live in a beautiful mind state and in a beautiful life and to appreciate and receive all that we desire. We deserve it. It's our birthright. We have to make the choice to get up and create it every day, right? We have to make the choice to till that soil, to sow those seeds, to water that plant, to allow and be patient and allow it to grow. And then when the time comes, put in the work to bear that fruit. It's there for us to pick. It's there for us to reap every time. But do we make the effort and do the work to go get it? The choice is always ours. The choice is always and forever going to be ours.
We got to decide, do we wake up and say we hate life, shit's going to go bad, it's going to be a long day, it's going to be shitty, or do we wake up and say thank God for another day, another 24 hours of opportunity to grow, to succeed, to be happy, to enjoy life, to appreciate life? Those are our decisions. We wake up every single day. As soon as we open these eyes and we get to some sort of consciousness, we have the ability to decide what is our life going to be like today.
110%.
That's real.
110%.
And you know what else, guys? You got to decide what type of player do you want to be. Do you want to be a passive player where you're just kind of just sitting there, kind of just waiting for things to happen and kind of just going with the flow? And whatever, it's just, hey, whatever happens, happens. Or are you going to be a very active, very engaging, very aggressive player where you are on the offensive, you're trying to win. You're trying to get the job done. And it's so interesting. Like, for some reason, over the last couple of days, the movie The Fight Club has really been resonating with me a lot. And I think that's a beautiful movie.
That's a dangerous movie, bro. Oh, that's yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Because for me, what I got from it, right, was the idea that people are so fearful they're just fearful, and they allow their fears to stop them. Whether it's the fear of death, the fear of pain, the fear of disapproval, the fear of not having material items, that they're so scared that they just they're trying to avoid loss. But pain and loss is inevitable. It's a part of the process. There's you can try to avoid it, but it's going to find you. You can run, but you can't hide. And so that's the beautiful aspect of it, which is like, you know what? You're going to be in pain. You're going to be in pain. You're going to be scared. You're going to lose. Do it anyway. Yes, when you try to go for glory, it's going to hurt. You're going to be criticized. You might get hurt. You might get beat up. You might die. Do it anyway, because you're going to die anyway. You're going to be criticized anyway. You're going to be in pain anyway. So, yeah, man. Guys, I think, this is, wow.
You know, I've always been a very, very, very big fan of the movie Fight Club since very early on. I watched it probably for the first time. I was like 12, 13. Dude, it was great. Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful movie. You know, but the one thing that it really taught me was, especially one of my favorite scenes is, you know, when Brad has Edward Norton, he tells him to release the wheel of the car, right? It's like just let go, let go. And sure enough, like, you could live, you could die, but sure enough, he got up right out of that car. He was hurt, he had some scrapes, he had some bruises, but he got right up out of that car and he continued to live for another day. You know, and I think that not only do we have the choice every single day, but once again, we have the opportunity, right? And as we continue to grow, and I made this analogy, it's it was interesting how this analogy came to be. But anyway, as we grow, imagine every year that you're born, you have a plot, you have a full acre of land, right? You're a farmer. And as you grow older, you have acre after acre after acre. And as you get to like your 20s and 30s, you got like 20, 30 acres of land. That's a lot to go back to. If you didn't toil that soil as you were getting it, you have to go back and clean that up. You have to go back and make sure that that soil is fertile for all the seeds. So, we are in the scarcity mindset because we only have this small acre of land that we've allowed ourselves, or a small collection of acres, because we haven't done the work. We have to go through loss to be prepared for more abundance to come in. We have to make room for it, right? So as we evolve and as we grow and as we elevate in frequency, we have to make room for more things to come in. We have to make room for more blessings, more abundance, more money, more life, more glory, more happiness to come in. You can only do that when you go and cut off and cut out the shit that's no longer serving you. And that's what's most important, right? That's, once again, you have to go back and toil that soil that might be dead, have some dead vegetation that's there. You got to dig those roots out. You got to start all over with that soil. That is therapy. That is going through your childhood. You have to go back and make sure that soil is toiled to the point that it can grow seeds again. As you go back and plant those seeds, you have a lot more acres to work with. You have a lot more abundance to then receive. All of your plants grow. You're able to receive the abundance. You never have to go without again. You never go hungry again, because you were able to create self-sustainability for yourself in a way that is through manifestation, but more importantly, through your own healing. It always and forever will start with you.
That's real.
Full circle, man. Circle of life.
That's real.
That's it.
This is
And
why we're doing these podcasts.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%. And you know what? And what that kind of reminds me of is the idea of like, you go, it's like in school, in like grade school. In order to go to the 5th grade, you got to give up what you were doing in the 4th grade. In order to go to high school, you got to give up middle school. You got to do whatever the routines and the habits and the stuff you were doing, you got to let that go to elevate. And I think it's the same thing with life. In order to go to that next level, whatever you're doing now, whatever habits you have now, whatever things that you feel comfortable with now, that you've grown accustomed to, if you want to go to that next level spiritually, physically, financially, you have to give up what you've been doing and replace it with other things. And that's just life, man.
And the thing is, people don't like being uncomfortable. Growth is very uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And life taught us that. You know what I'm saying? When we was growing, we was getting taller, we was stretching and whatnot. It was painful. And so growth is pain. Elevation is pain. Elevation is people, there's things that's going to fall off. You know what I'm saying? That's why they say it's lonely at the top, because like he was saying earlier, all that dead skin, all that dead weight that you was carrying, you're going to have to come to a point where you got to cut it and you got to keep moving.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a continuum.
Yeah, that's real, man.
And it's the emotional experience of humanity that causes us the grief and the pain and the inability to rise so quickly. So because of that, there's a forcing of us to take our time and to experience it and feel it. But it's to the point to where people often give up and then they choose to be stuck. They choose to be around the same people or with the same person or at the same job or in the same house or in the same city or doing the same thing over and over again because they just gave up, right? But there's then the choice to go back and reignite that flame. And I think that the most important thing for people to realize, and as a lot of people are now, especially in our age, and I would say like maybe 5 to 8 years older, they're understanding that, oh, I can relight this. I can ignite this again. I can respark this shit. So there's a lot more people in our age group. And I would even say like the early 20s to a certain degree as well, where people are like, no, I don't like how life has been for me. I don't like how life is around me. I'm going to make my way. It may not be how society likes it. It may not be how society wants it. It may not be in a way that is socially acceptable, because we have to understand that we agreed on these what's socially acceptable from what we were told was socially acceptable. And ultimately, like our morale, our morals, who we are, what we believe in, our ideologies, those are something that are taught. And then there's some that are just innate, right? Like you feel it. You're anybody for the most part, and there comes then the change with the brain, right? That goes back to the brain, is going to feel some type of remorse and some satisfaction or in some way or another for killing somebody. Most, right? This is why we have psychology, to understand why the fuck did that person not feel any remorse for killing that person. But, there's an understanding of when we have this feeling and this ability to reflect, we're able to then go back and say, damn, I don't really want to be here in this position. I don't want to feel this way, but it would hurt me more from what I've understood and experienced already, to then cut off and start fresh. It's a battle that we have, bro. And then, it's just our emotions. It's our ability to feel, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. But I think that people often get caught in the wave of emotion to the point that they drown, as opposed to swimming in it a little bit and then coming up for air, going back down, diving, come and doing that routine, right? Or some people do that routine and then they get so deep to where they just fuck around, forget to go back up for air, and then they drown, right? Like it's truly a journey, and the journey in it of itself is a beautiful thing. And that's what comes with it. Once again, as above, so below, dude. You need rain in order for flowers to bloom. You need clouds in order to provide shade on sunny days. You need pain in order to know what true happiness and true peace and love feel like. So we have to experience one before we can get to the other. And we're not going to be able to do that without it. And if we're not going to be able to do it without it, it's essential. I just think that we've once again allowed others to feel and think for us, to the point that we've over time lost that connection, but we're getting it back. And that's what's so cool right now, right? It's like people looking at astrology. A lot more people are researching and learning about themselves, their ancestry. There are a lot of things that are going back to genealogies, and people understanding the foundation that they came from, so they can look forward with strength, integrity, but most importantly, that glory of the future that they want to build and step into.
Wow. That's real, man. Wow, bro. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. You hit the nail on the nail on the head there, in terms of just thinking about the future, our future selves, and really allowing ourselves to go into our mental imagination, and really where it's not really limited there. You limit your imagination, so to really allow your imagination to be free and to focus on your future self, your past self, your current self, allowing yourself your imagination to deprogram what you've learned, and to try to work from the ground up, and to try to reassess or to reconfigure what is the best steps for, or the next best steps for your spiritual evolution, man. And I think if we operate, a lot of the times we're operating like we're humans. Like, we forget that we're actually spiritual beings having a human experience. We just feel like, oh, I'm a human. So we allow our egos to control our minds to the point where we're just focusing on human shit. Whereas we need to really be trying to use our conscious spiritual mind to break down what we've been doing as humans, to realize that it's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the process. You're going to fuck up. That's why you're here. You're not perfect. Or I should say, the physical body is not perfect. Your physical reality is not perfect. But you, in and of yourself, the essence of who you are, which I don't even know. I've heard of the idea that souls have names. I don't know I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if that's true, but like we have our physical, our earthly names, but then our spirits have names. Our spirits, our souls have names in and of themselves. I don't know if that's true or not, but perhaps it's just we have to really link in with that aspect of us that does not die, man. That lives forever, that is immortal, that is eternal, so that we can overcome our physical human bullshit.
That's crazy, man. When you were saying that, I felt like I had this little like thought in my head that like maybe maybe my spirit name is like Zamir or some shit like that. And I was like, maybe there's really a spirit inside of me named Zamir, right?
Right,
But he's like, this is KC's experience, so we're gonna get a body that fits KC or
right,
Bags, and we gonna make him just do what we feel like he would like to do.
right,
And
right.
like sometimes I'll be having these real vivid memories and vivid dreams of like just hella out of body experiences and whatnot. And then, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's me tapping into a little bit of Zamir's consciousness and spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of, his experiences from whatever human shells or whatever bodies or, dimensions he was living in.
Oh wow.
So you know what's so fucking crazy, bro? Is I just researched Jameer and what the meaning of the word is and the name.
Oh shit.
And you're gonna fucking trip because it's literally so there's several. It's a given name and a surname in origins of Jewish, Arabic, Albanian, and Russian. So in Hebrew, Zamir is translated to singer or a high-pitched voice or a nightingale. In Arabic, more importantly, Zamir means heart or conscience.
Oh. Oh.
Albanian, Zamir is a male name, which means good voice. And then in Russian, Zamir means for peace. So I'm pretty sure that was a tap of just the infinite collective consciousness that is here in its many forms, bro. Just tapped in with Zamir. Like you just tapped in with that consciousness that's just like, hey, I'm here.
Right. It might appear random, but it's not random.
Man.
Now,
That's my nigga now.
I was just about to say what I would encourage you to do, bros, when you meditate or if you do meditate, set an intention, connect with Zamir. Connect with the energy of Zamir. And yeah, bro, write down what you feel, write down what you experience, write down if you see anything, but don't also expect to see anything. Just allow it to flow, allow it to be, right? Just be present. That was really cool though. That was a really cool example of, once again, everything we've talked about, bro. It's all connected, right? Like, once again, are we this simulation? Are we in this infinite consciousness? This is the proof in it of itself, literally live time. This is a simulated reality that we created out of an infinite consciousness that we then tapped into, channeled, and brought forth into this dream state that we then created. It's all connected, bro. It's all here, right? It's all here because we are all connected. We are all here. We are ever present and we are everlasting. And as we understand that, and as we go to understand who we are in this life, more importantly, what we're here to contribute in this life and who we're here to contribute to, we then continue to tap into and understand those infinite consciousnesses that are at our disposal for connecting to and learning from, but more importantly, harnessing and sharing.
That's deep, man. Hey, what do you guys think about the idea of NPCs? Non-playable characters. Basically, I guess, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but from
I know a couple.
But the idea is like there are people, like I see some people in my day-to-day life that there just doesn't seem to be a lot going on up there. It's just kind of, they just kind of like in Grand Theft Auto, you play Grand Theft Auto, you see the characters on the sidewalk and shit. And
they just do this.
Yeah, right. And they respond based on a script. And there's no like what we're doing is we're all here. Our consciousness are here. We're thinking, we're processing, we're analyzing what we perceive to be this reality, and we're vocalizing that. But there definitely seems to be people, quote unquote, non NPCs that just kind of just, yeah, they just, you know what I mean? They just paint the wall, or there's just not a lot going on up there. It's just very, and I'm not disrespecting people who paint walls, but I'm saying like you can paint walls and be very deep,
right.
You see what I'm saying? It's not the idea of just painting walls, but it's like, like there's literally like there's just not a lot going on. What do you guys think about that?
Trying to go through life and not like they just okay, I'm doing this now, and then
Right,
okay, like lack of personality, lack of soul, lack of like spirit. Like it's just nothing in there. It's like you said, a shell.
right.
It's
Like
quite
there's no interest in any of the topics that we've been discussing.
right.
It's all just what they see on TV, what they see in movies, what they see on the news, what's going on, what they see with their eyes. There's no interest in like the non-physical, the immaterial, you see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
You know, I genuinely, and I've thought about this a lot because I still talk my shit, but like,
As you should.
those people specifically more than anything, I honestly feel the sorriest for, and I feel the most sympathy for, because I'm sorry that you experienced what you did to the point that you wanted to disconnect from life itself. Like you went through something so bad or traumatizing that you perceived as that horrible to the point that you just gave up. And you just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go on autopilot, and you're just the light completely burnt out. And I don't, and I I'll say I don't believe that it completely burnt out, but it's a candle in the rain. Like
Part of the soul died,
yeah, if not all of it, dude, and it fucking sucks because I see more of it happening as years progress. And I really think that it just comes back to, once again, people allowing themselves to be consumed by the world around them rather than them consuming the world. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, this world is mine. I mean that in the sense of integrate yourself a part of the world, move with it, flow with it, and grow and evolve with it, as opposed to always being reactionary, always trying to chase, always trying to follow, as opposed to lead and be in your own, just being a sheep for lack thereof, right? And even that term, right? Like it's so fascinating how in the last like 10, 15 years all this terminology has come up to describe people. But
Right.
overall, I really think it's just people trying to find their fucking way. And over time, people just get really scared, or they get really drained, and they get really tired, and they just say, you know what, dude, I've had it. I don't have the strength, or quite honestly, the courage to remove myself of this world. So I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna float. I'm just gonna
Right.
float. I'm just gonna kind of, go through the motions. I'm just gonna do it. And it sucks, dude. Those are the people I really try to talk to the most and just try to learn about and try to understand. Number one, because I've been there and I get it. But number two, like, you know, just what was it? Like that's once again why I wanted to pursue psychology. I just want to like, what caused people to act the way that they do? What was that defining moment that took them over the edge to make that choice and to do it? It's crazy, dude. It's a fascinating thing.
You got to decide: are you gonna fuck the world, or are you gonna let the world fuck you? You got to decide: are you gonna break the world, or are you gonna let the world break you?
That's little Robert De Niro, Al Pacino.
Are you gonna are you gonna bend over and spread your cheeks, or are you gonna zip down your pants, whip it out, and get to work? And with that, speaking of that, I gotta use the restroom. I'll be right back, guys.
What an exit.
It's so funny because as soon as you said that, I went straight to Uncle Larry. I put in that work.
Oh man. But yeah, this is crazy, man. This is some real like deep shit, man. And you know what I'm saying? Part of the reason I pursued psychology and therapy and all that stuff was because I truly did have like a curiosity of why people do the things that they do, why they act the way they act, why they feel the way they feel. And man, like this whole world of study, this whole world of education is like crazy to how people, receive trauma, how they process through trauma. It's crazy. And different personalities, and just it's so crazy. The complexities to a human being is beyond understanding.
It's so interesting because I very much believe in what Carl Jung says, and that we enter the world as a blank slate. And I think that the impressions of the world vastly make up what we become and who we become.
Right.
To the point of, once again, the book that I brought up, like there is gene expression of trauma. So there is some, nature that's there, a part of it. But a vast majority of us, it is our nurture. So, I think for the most part, we do enter the world as a blank slate. And because of that, we are very impressionable. And with the power of psychology came the power of manipulation. So,
Big time.
because of that, quite honestly, I've always very much felt and resonated with the understanding and belief that there has been an agenda using psychology, sociology, and the social sciences of the mind to sway people and to move in a specific way at a very, very early age. And it's been very fascinating, right? Because even if you think of like the dichotomy of the masculine and feminine, the masculine isn't meant to experience any of the emotions that the feminine does, and the feminine is not meant to experience any of the emotions that the masculine does, according to society, right? They are strictly separated. But us as an animus, as a spiritual conscious being, we experience both, because society has not given us the space, and we are not born to then think, live, and grow in the space of duality. We become one or the other, thus closing off that part of ourself. And as we cut off part of that self, we lose that over time. And sometimes people lose that other half as well, and they just give up. Once again, that NPC and that light just goes. But, excuse me, in order to really create, in order to really build, in order to really allow that full glory to come in, that full life of greatness to come in, you have to embrace both. You have to, as the masculine, embrace that divine feminine within you. You have to, as the feminine, embrace that divine masculine. And it's not like you have to be overtly one or the other, but you have to be able to be in tune with your feelings as a man. You have to be able to articulate yourself emotionally and be able to set boundaries and create space and understand the importance of self-love, right? As a woman, you have to understand and assert a specific assertive and aggression that's there specifically when it comes to one's children, right? And that ability to protect the household, including the man that's there as well, as the woman, or I'm sorry, as the man does the whole family and everybody else, just in different ways. So, the masculine is the more physical, the feminine is the more mental and spiritual, both of which are fighting, both of which are protecting. But when integrated and fully coming together, both do the same. So the household is twice as powerful. And teaching that like teaching the youth the importance of understanding and aligning and integrating both pieces of oneself, like, it's crazy. Now, there is a lot of interesting things going on in society that kind of pushes more of a feminine nature at this time, but I do think that that is nothing but a result of overtly patriarchal and masculine oppression over centuries. Ultimately, bro, like the masculine in and of itself, and I'm going on this wild ass tangent right now, but the masculine in and of itself is like, really created a subjugation for the feminine in many ways, to where now this is the experience of it. And only when we truly balance and come together can we then truly align ourselves and create and build. Um, and that is what the NPC has given up on. That's how we'll bring that back.
Oh, I know. That's actually real, man. And I've actually had a lot of similar thoughts about masculinity versus femininity, and the those two energies being expressed within yourself. Like I do feel like some of the more successful people are those who are able to effectively balance both.
Yes.
So when I think about masculinity, I think about a mentality. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to win. I'm going to conquer. I'm going to overcome my obstacles. I'm going to destroy anything in my way. When I think about femininity, I think, okay, I'm going to care about people. I'm going to care for myself. I'm going to care about my environment. I'm going to care about my family, my friends, etc. I think though when you're able to effectively utilize and balance both, then you become very powerful. You become very successful. And I think there's so many, what's interesting is that there's so many different ways to balance out that masculine and feminine energy. You look at a guy like Prince, where it might appear like his feminine energy is a little bit more pronounced than his masculine energy, but his mentality, his expression might be feminine, but his mentality was very masculine in the sense that he's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to live how he wants to live. He's going to be his own man, be his own boss, and that's it. And you're going to take it or leave it. But then it could be on the other side. You look at a guy like Tom Brady, an ultimate competitor, very mentally strong, a winner in a very tough sport like football. But then also outside of football, he tries to take care of himself, dress well, wear nice things, wear nice clothes, that feminine side. So I think you're 100% right, man. Balancing out that feminine and that masculine energy is key.
And a key word that I heard you keep using was balance, right?
Yeah.
My perspective on the world and everything that's going on is we're all trying to achieve some level of balance, right? So if you got a human being that's having a hard time balancing their masculinity, their femininity, then that's taking energy right there. You know what I'm saying? That's taking energy away from that individual to be successful with that little battle, right? So I think a lot of it is balance, trying to attribute enough energy here, enough energy there, so that you maintain that level of balance and get to where you want to be in life.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, I think, wow, man. And to trying to, kind of piggyback to where Austin was talking about kind of what's going on in society. We're in a very interesting time. This is a very interesting time where man, you've got
We're on a
people.
precipice. We are on a precipice.
Yeah, this is a very important time in human history, man. Where if man, it's just so much to be said, man. You got people that are trying to change their sexes, and I don't have an opinion on that or a judgment on that, but it's just a reality. You have people that, in other words, cannot accept what they are, and they want to change the status quo of what they are and what they've been programmed to be, and what and it's we're questioning what reality is, to the point where it's going outside of our just the philosophy and the mind of like, okay, the different, where are we? I think, therefore I am, and all of these different ideas versus, am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I a human? Am I, where are we? This type of stuff. I think we're in a very interesting time where we could, because you know what, man, you've ever heard of the idea that what can go wrong will go wrong?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, 100%. It's a
That is scary.
Murphy's law.
That is scary. That is scary, man, because it tells me, when I think about the fact that things pop up, they spawn, they grow, they stagnate, they reach their peak, then they decline and die, and then I combine that with the fact that anything that what can go wrong will go wrong, then I'm like, fuck, man.
Well, there's a couple things to that. So, first and foremost, I think that society is evolving. We are stepping more into more of a consciousness state than more of a physical state, which is why we have so many people wanting to be either opposite sexes or identifying differently. The biggest thing for me is, there has to be a certain developmental stage in which that decision should be made. And that's where I kind of differ when it comes to certain agendas that are shared, specifically on younger humans and younger children that are developing. Right. So,
yeah.
that's where I kind of draw the line, because there has to be certain literal developmental things in the brain to be able to allow that. So,
right.
With that being said, 100% do it by all means. I 100% embrace it. I have like several friends that are transgender. Like, I love it 110%, because ultimately that is the evolution of society. Now, when it comes to understanding the roles, right, for evolution and what that comes about, that opens a whole nother development, because at the end of the day, in order to create, there has to be two. That is what comes with being like dual sexual. We're not asexual. If anything, we would be in itself bisexual by definition, right? Male, masculine, and feminine. But you have to have one in order to create with the other. So that is kind of where things kind of teeter. But ultimately, dude, I really see a lot of this is just an evolution of consciousness. And we decide, like you said, as things rise, things will then fall. How great our decline will be and where our decline will be, right? Like, is it going to be in our emotional capabilities, our ability to tap into our more spiritual, conscious, psychic, spiritual selves? Or is it going to be this system that we have believed that we should have, right? Are we going to hit the reset button and start fresh on us or the world around us?
That's real, man. That's real. Yeah, I think there's a lot to ponder, man. There's a lot to ponder.
And this was just a conversation about life, evolution, spirituality, positivity, mindsets, mentalities. Like, this is the kind of shit that the media needs to be having out there. More people need to be aware of the power that they have within themselves. More people need to realize the power of the mind. Like, these are the conversations people need to be having so that they can get those good energies flowing around them, that motivation to do better, to succeed, to really get to know yourself, really understand who you are, find your true purpose in life. You got to look within, you got to do the work, and just do what you got to do. It's
Yeah.
a journey, it's continuous.
Yeah. And the internet is such a beautiful thing, but it also, just like anything else, it could be a very destructive thing. And I think that this point in time, we're at a point where the internet or the technology, our advancements are either going to really generate us and push us to at that point of evolution to where we evolve to a superior state, or it's going to ultimately be our undoing as a
100%.
species. And I think that not enough people are having these conversations. I think we're so distracted. We're distracted. We're thinking about X, Y, and Z, this thing, that thing, instead of really, and I understand, we live in a society where we have constructs and rules, and people have jobs and they have things that they have to do and obligations, etc. But I fear that if we don't really start getting to the nitty gritty of things, then unfortunately, this iteration of consciousness that we're experiencing on this planet might come to an end. And then, and so that doesn't mean that we're eternal beings. So we go to the next iteration, but the point is, what about this one?
We should be doing better. And I think that that's ultimately the thing, right? Is like, we're in this experience right now to be taking ourselves, to be holding ourselves accountable, to take action, to create change, to then reset. And I think that that's the choice, right? Are we going to give up our agency, our ability to actually hit that reset button? Are we going to give it away and just say, man, I want to be comfortable, I want to chill? And the choice is going to be ours. I think that, the most important thing that people can do each day is express gratitude. I think gratitude is one of the greatest, smallest, unspoken things that don't give it enough credit, where, if you just give gratitude for waking up, give gratitude for your food, give gratitude for the water you drink, give gratitude for, the gas in your car, or the bus that's taking you, or your feet that you're walking with, your bike that you have, regardless of how you're moving, the fact that you're moving, the fact that you're conscious, the fact that you're aware, and then the things that you have in your day, right? It all starts one day at a time, one day at a time, you know? And, you know, just like Dory said, you just keep swimming. But, you know, as you swim, you have gratitude, you're happy, right? And you're able to manifest and create the life you want. But it doesn't come overnight. And there are steps and it is a journey. But as long as you are open and inviting to what the universe and that God and all things around will align and provide to you, you're going to be able to receive them as long as you're open and as long as you're willing. And more importantly, you're holding yourself accountable and making that room that we talked about. You're infinite. You're limitless. There's nothing that you can't do.
Wow.
Like Nip said, man, like neighborhood Nip said, it's a marathon, man.
That's it.
That's
That's
a
it.
fact.
Long live. Long live
That's a
Nip.
fact. Man, that was a real dude, man. Nip, real dude. Like, wow, man. Shouldn't have went out like that. But maybe that's, I mean, you just don't know. Maybe that's how he wanted it to be in terms of his
You know what?
spirit, you know?
Well, and that's exactly it, bro. If you learn one thing from Thanos, you know, he just wanted to fulfill his one thing and then it was his destiny fulfilled. He didn't care what happened after. And like, you know, Nip had a potential to do many great things. His destiny was fulfilled in the way it was. And us as human beings having that emotional connection feel it's unfair, right? We as in our ego want to possess Nip and say like, no, you should be here with me. You should be here motivating me. You should still be here building for us. No, Nip served his purpose. So take what Nip taught you and then apply it and build a solution and build on that foundation, right? Once again, plant the seed for the shade in which you won't sit under. Use it just like he did. Make that investment, build upon which Nip did for the next person to build, which upon you do and Nip, and then let that multiply, add it up. And before you know it, we all win the marathon.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not just about Nip, it's about everybody. It's about us all, man.
100%.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
about all
Nip
of
passed,
our evolution, you know?
Nip passed the baton. It's up to us now to take it.
Exactly. And listen, I know we've been going for about an hour and 45 minutes, but I got one last question for you guys. Okay.
I'm moving, man. We good.
I want to know I would like for you to share in these 29 plus years that you've been here, one of the greatest life lessons that you've learned. And I'd like you to share. I'm sure we've all had multiple ones, a lot of them. But I'm asking for if you could be so generous to share one of in your 29 plus years, one of the greatest lessons that you've learned in this physical iteration of your incarnation. I can start it. If you guys aren't ready, I can start it.
Oh, I have mine. Bro, trust me.
Okay,
I know
please.
mine.
Please share.
So this is something by a gentleman by the name of Dave Severn, and he amassed a great fortune. He's done many things, and he motivated and inspired many people. And it was a very interesting part of my life when I came across this message, but it came exactly as it needed to. And it was a big catalyst for me changing and opening myself to that documentary and ultimately making a podcast and just becoming the person I am now. And it is, may you live your life so that the use of your life outlives your life.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah,
That's like leaving your mark on the world.
That's legacy, bro. That's legacy.
Legacy. I would definitely much rather have a legacy than just me not do shit with the life that I was blessed to have every day. You know what I mean? I definitely want to leave a mark out here and have the energies and spirits of me still out here making shit happen.
Right. That's beautiful, man.
I would have to say mine is man, I wish I could remember the book, but I think it was like either 9th or 10th grade. They made us read this book, and it was going over like some like virtues of life or something like that. And I think I only remember two, but these were the two that really stuck with me throughout most of my life. Was I think it was like patience is a virtue, and ignorance is bliss. And so when I really tapped into that, like ignorance being bliss, It's like you really got to ignore a lot of the negativity that's out there, a lot of the bullshit, a lot of the drama, a lot of the fake people trying to get into your life, trying to like steer you off your path. Like ignorance is truly a bliss. It really is. And patience, I mean, I work with little ass kids doing therapy and whatnot. So I mean, patience is really a majority of what I have to have. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm constantly saying, are you ready to work? Are you ready to focus? Can you pay attention now? Like you have to be patient. And patience really allows you to sit for a second, not just react, but really process information and really think about what you're going to do next. And so patience is a really, really huge thing and a really valuable thing that I value in my life.
Yeah,
I love that.
patience is key, man. Yeah, love that too. Patience is very important. And for me, I think, man, I've learned a couple things in my 29 years, but I think one of the main things that I really value to this point in my life is just the idea that like things aren't personal. Like things appear personal from your ego, but there's a lot going on behind the appearances that make me that's just so beyond you that it's not personal. Don't take things personal in life. People are dealing with their own programs, their own pain, their trauma, their insecurities, their fears, their assumptions, and they put those onto you. And they put that energy, they direct that energy to you. And then a lot of the times you have to deal with the brunt of that. But I think the one of the main things that I've learned is just don't take things personal. Like when people interact with you, when people say certain things about you, do certain things to you, that is it says a lot more about them than it does about you. And just remember, it's all a part of this game of life. You know what I mean? You don't have expectations. You know what I mean? That's another one. Do not have expectations. When you don't have expectations, then you can't be disappointed. It's just like, yo, I don't expect to be the richest person in the world, but if it happens, that's great. I don't expect to become the most famous person in the world, but if it happens, that's great. I don't expect anything. I just stay in the moment and just go moment by moment, day by day, man. And I feel like that's really good for your mental health, man, your mental state, because it helps you to stay grounded. It helps you to stay in line and stay in the moment, which is ultimately all that we have, man.
No, 100%, and that's beautiful, bro. I love, more than anything like that. It's that art of detachment, right? And that's something that is very well taught in a lot of Eastern philosophy, like Deepak Chopra, Jiddu Krishnamurti, the Yogananda Buddha, all of them, right? And who teach these practices. It's always, once again, have no expectations, be able to detach, and don't have that emotional connection. Um, it's once again in balance, right? And I know that you have a very great balance with it, and I think that overall a lot of people do. It's just learning. It's just kind of learning that, right, more than anything. And it's funny because those are going to be the other two that I said right after mine, which is really cool. Um,
Nice.
but and it really is, dude. It's life is just a fascinating thing, man, because as we go and experience the world prior to understanding, we are ignorant, right? And it is blissful. And, we do have to be patient and virtuous with ourselves, but also at the same time, not have expectations of things, not have expectations of how people are, how they're going to react, how the world is going to be. And, we're going to have to be allowing ourselves to not have the ability to not only connect but also take things personally, right?
Mhm.
And from all that journey in it of itself, It's us using our life to figure out a way that it outlives our life to serve others, right? And
Right.
to build that foundation. Um, and it's good shit, dude. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful life that we have. And I'm very grateful for all that I've experienced because it gave me the opportunity to then share the knowledge that I now have, to share the experience that I have now, to be able to connect with people from any type of background, any type of, race, gender, whatever it is, just based upon the foundation of being human, the foundation of being a human being in general. And I think that that's all people really want, dude, is they just want to feel like a fucking human being. And we've lost that. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next 10, 20 years, because that's going to be the big fight, right? Like, are we going to choose to lose our humanity and lose our consciousness and allow things to be just provided for us? Or are we going to become self-sustainable? Are we going to hit that reset button? Are we going to do what's required of us, not because it's easy, but because it's the right thing to do? It's up to us. The choice is always going to be ours, man. And regardless of whatever we choose, it's meant to be is what's meant to be. It's just a matter of, did we hit our peak as a human society of this generation at this time to then restart? Or do we have a little further to go?
Right. Yeah, that's real shit, man.
Because it's going to reset regardless. It's just a matter of how far we get. That's all it is.
That reset button, man.
Yeah. I think I agree when you say the choice is ours. Like, we really have to decide, like, are we just finished with this existence? Are we just going to wipe the human race out and just, we're done and let's just start all over and become something else? Let's just split just like that, like Thanos, boom, just like that. Or, I mean, what's the thing? I just think life is, like you said, is very fascinating, is very insightful. And I think that it's kind of, even though things appear to be separate, I think there's a lot of, like when we look at a lion, the lion appears like it's a lion, but there's a lot of a lion that's in you as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, there's different people that are in you as well. I think, like the ocean, there's an analogy to you as well with the ocean. There's always deeper surfaces, deeper layers that you can get to. And I mean, life is just, it's very, you're right, man. It's very deep, man. And I just want to thank you, man, for bringing your wisdom, your experience, your consciousness to our podcast, man. I mean, I feel like you definitely, with the way that you think, embody most certainly a glory mentality. And I mean, that's apparent. I mean, very intelligent man, deep. And I'm sure this is just what we've discussed is just, it's not it's only 1% of what you are, maybe not even 1%, and what you know and what you know what I mean. And I would love, and I'm sure Bags would as well, to have you on to discuss, maybe to react to what's going on in life, to get your perspective, to get your thought process on what's some current events that are happening in life. Because I think that would be a very valuable experience, and I think people need to hear what you have to say, Mr. Austin.
Well, I'm first and foremost, man, very grateful and very privileged, not only for your words and for the vibes and the energy, but just, for you guys to have the courage to then create this podcast, to create this platform, to create this ability for someone to express themselves so naturally and genuinely, just be able to provide this platform in genuine. So thank you. And yeah, bro, anytime at all. We'll definitely continue to have these episodes and discussions. And just like I said, dude, just couldn't be prouder of you both, man, especially you, Bags. Like I said, bro, since high school, and to see us grow now and to see people around us grow or not grow and to continue to do what they're doing or not do. And, it's a fascinating thing to just see our collective as we grow and evolve kind of stay where they're at. And I'm very glad you didn't, bro. I'm very glad you didn't. I'm very glad you chose to grow and continue to choose to grow. I'm very proud of you, and I know you have a lot of people that are proud of you as well, bro. But it's great to see. And CVT, you have more than a plethora of knowledge, and I think that there's a great mental strength and a very great conviction and integrity that kind of resides within you that I definitely feel like a really good, just like earthiness that's there and well grounded. So, I know that both of you and in your own ways and both collectively, as including myself and new people who will come as well, you'll continue to change the world, or you continue to make a difference, continue to make an impact. But most importantly, you'll be making a positive impact. And I just want to say thank you for that, because that does in itself take a choice, and it is a choice every day. And it's much easier to make the other choice, but we choose to get up every day and choose to be accountable and choose to try to be better. And we do fall short at times. We do fuck up. We do have these mistakes, but we're human. We're allowed to be, and we're going to admit those and show them in the bright spotlight, just as we would our victories. And we're going to continue to grow. And because of that, we are great. And because of that, we are worthy of the glory that we desire. And because of that, most importantly, the glory is already here. It's already ours.
Wow.
And so it is. So it will be.
Gotta take advantage, man. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. I've been talking about this for a while, man. We had to, that's the power of manifestation and having these conversations, man. I talked about where we was at, what the plan was, what we was gonna do, and then we made shit happen. That's how you gotta kind of go through life, man. You formulate your plan, you start to get a little bit more motivation, a little bit more motion, and then you just push it into action, and here we are. You know what I'm saying? Networking, collabing, really sharing this positive shit out there, really trying to combat the negativity and the stuff that's tearing our world apart. Just trying to really push for y'all to tap into yourselves, develop that glory mentality, develop a positive mind, put out positive vibes, just like my man's podcast, and really make shit happen.
So 100%, man. So this has been excellent, man. I really learned a lot from this discussion, and there's been several things that you said, Austin, that are going to stick with me 100%. And
I've learned a lot too, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that this is beautiful, and this is only the beginning, man. Yeah. This is only the beginning. We just don't know where this could go. We don't know what this could lead to. And I think that because of our mindsets and because of our collective mentalities, when it comes to glory, when it comes to trying to achieve peacefulness, happiness, etc., I think if we really work as a team, or we really just decide like, okay, we're gonna like come together and collaborate on X, Y, and Z with our collective mental energies, intelligence, etc., focus, drive, hunger, just stableness of mind, like man, I anticipate, I don't expect, but I anticipate and I hope that have faith that there are only good things coming to us all in the future, man. And so yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mr. Austin. And until next time, man, I'm looking forward to checking out your podcast and going back into the archives and really, you know what I mean, getting to hear your perspectives on life and your perspectives of whether it's spirituality, whether it's the scientists, whether it's magic, astrology, etc. I'm interested in all that stuff myself, even though I don't necessarily partake, but I do. It's like kind of like in politics, like you might be
100%.
a Democrat, but you want to understand the Republican side,
yeah, 100%.
As opposed to just being a Democrat, and then I say, "Oh, what's the Republican side?" and you just don't know.
Exactly.
It'd be like, okay, that's kind of weird. But so yeah, man, Austin, I see the brilliance, man. I see the potential, and I wish you nothing but the best, man.
Hey, same to you fellas as well, man. And yeah, just looking forward to continuing to build and continue to go, man. I appreciate you guys having me, truly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All righty, people. Hopefully you got something from this. And Mr. Bags, you cut this whenever you want.
And pipe.
All right.